MidJourney just released a new feature called Describe. Instead of the normal way of using MidJourney, which is adding a prompt and then receiving an image, what the new Describe feature does is you add an image to the MidJourney bot and it will give you 4 very unique prompts out of it. Only playing around with it for the last couple of hours, I found it to be a very cool and powerful new feature. So in this video, I wanted to show you guys what I've done so far using the Describe feature and how I've so far seen how it works. Let's check it out. On the official Discord page of MidJourney, we see here introducing \describe for image to text on MidJourney. So again, it's a reverse engineer of how MidJourney has always worked in the past. Use this \describe command and upload an image to get 4 text prompts that try to describe the image. Click buttons underneath the command to generate images for each of the prompts. Let's see how this works. I'm going to type in describe, need to add an image. And I'm going to add an image of a Porsche 911 and let's see what it comes up with. MidJourney bot is thinking. Wow, I have to say already, that took 3 seconds for it to come up with prompts. Let's check out what the prompts say. The first one, the red Porsche 911 GT2 Q3 on the side of a mountain in the style of Thomas Barcialo. Not sure who that is. Grandiose architecture, exquisite craftsmanship, impressive panoramas, subtle chromatism, sculpted neo-mosaic. What I'm finding right off the bat to be very interesting is that it immediately knew that it was a Porsche 911 and it was a red Porsche 911, so that's quite impressive. It was on the side of a mountain. In the style of Thomas Barcialo, what's cool is you can click on the artist's name. It seems to be an artist that does more ceramics or sculptures, so I'm interested to see why the MidJourney bot has chosen this particular artist to use as a reference here. Grandiose architecture, which again, not 100% sure why architecture has now been chosen as a keyword here. Exquisite craftsmanship, impressive panoramas, subtle chromatism, sculpted. So again, using fine arts and sculptures here, and neo-mosaic, which again I find be an interesting word that is being used there. Let's check out the second prompt that it's come up with. The Porsche 911 Targos. Interesting again, it immediately knows that it's a Porsche 911. It's not a Targos, I think this is the Turbo. But still, I still find it very impressive that it recognizes that it's a Porsche 911. It's shown in red, again, got the color right. Parked on the edge of a mountain. Amazing that it can already tell, again, within seconds that it's the correct setting. In the style of speed motion, wealthy portraiture. It's interesting that it shows the same word 3 times and full body also twice. And also wealthy portraiture. Interested to see why the MidJourney bot has particularly used these terms. Let's check out number 3. The red Porsche 911 939 GT2 is parked in the style of dynamic and action-packed. Again, interesting that it's using that as a style. Mountainous vistas, so now it's describing more of the settings in a little bit more detail. UHD image, so ultra high definition image. Pictorial, genre-defying, hurufaya. Hurufaya is an aesthetic movement that emerged in the second half of the 20th century among Muslim artists who used their understanding of traditional Islamic calligraphy within the precepts of modern art. So again, I am interested to understand why it has chosen this particular term or movement to describe a picture of a Porsche 911 Turbo that's sitting in the mountains. And again, ends with UHD, ultra high definition image. So again, we're seeing the same words being used twice in a prompt, which I still find very interesting, and I wonder how that will affect the overall image that we get out of it. And the fourth one, Porsche 911 GTS 2019, price review, best models to buy. So almost sounds like a sales pitch here. In the style of Oscar Dominguez. Let's check out who he is. Oscar Dominguez is a Spanish painter. So again, interested to see why the MidJourney Describe feature has chosen the Spanish painter as a reference image for a Porsche 911 that's sitting out in the mountains. But again, maybe this is something that'll give us a very cool result. But then what's interesting, it chooses Sigma 85mm 1.4 DG HSM HSM Art, so this is the name of a particular brand of camera and lens. Again, we have the word mountainous vistas, so this is quite interesting that it's chosen quite descriptive words for the actual environment or the setting or location that the car is located in. Edoardo Tresoldi, let's check out who this is an Italian sculptor. He makes near-transparent sculptures using wire mesh and often positions them in public places. So again, I'm very interested to understand why now the MidJourney bot is using an Italian sculptor that uses metallic materials in his sculptures for a Porsche 911 shot that we uploaded. Automatism, George Stefanascu. Let's check out who this is. Romanian-German painter. So again, interesting to see that it's chosen yet another painter or sculptor for the image that we uploaded. Red and emerald, and it ends with AR 135/76. And this is the aspect ratio. It seems that it analyzes the aspect ratio very, very well because this is the aspect ratio for all the images that we uploaded. So let's see how these images look like using the prompts that MidJourney has given us. So we're gonna click here. What I find interesting is, as I clicked on the prompt in order to create an image, a new window pops open, so similar to the remix function. It seems to be that you can edit the prompt that it has come up with. For now, let's just submit the prompt and see what that comes up with. These are the results for the first prompt that MidJourney has created for us. And I have to say, wow, these are super, super impressive. Very, very similar to the original image that we actually uploaded onto MidJourney and to use the describe feature. So I'm actually very, very impressed of these images. It seems to have nailed the setting perfectly. It seems to have nailed the subject perfectly. So it has put a red Porsche, what seems to be in a kind of mountainous setting. If we look back at the prompt, again, it is said in the style of a Spanish painter, grandiose architecture, exquisite craftsmanship. So what's interesting is I would have never used some of these terms that the MidJourney bot had come up with. So for instance, sculpted, or neo-mosaic, which again is more like tiles itself. So would have never have chosen these words, but it seems to have come up with some really impressive results here. Let's go check out what the second prompt has given us. Shown in red, parked in the edge of a mountain. So again, showing the setting. These are also very, very impressive pictures. A little bit different to the original image. So it's not on a road anymore, but again, it's really nailed the setting and location correctly again, but this is now almost including some kind of, as if it's been painted. Let's look at the prompt again. Wealthy portraiture, maybe that's why it's almost in a more artistic painted style. But again, what I found interesting is that it used full body twice and mass surrealism 3 times. Let's take a look at the third prompt. How cool are these? Really nails the location correctly. It has like these beautiful, beautiful mountains in the background. In my opinion, almost cooler and more beautiful than the original image that we actually uploaded. It nails the fact that it's a Porsche 911 in the right setting. So I have to say, these are very, very impressive pictures. And taking a look at the prompt, mountainous vistas, maybe this is a quite important term to use if you want to have a certain subject in a mountainous setting. UHD image, so ultra high definition image. So that's definitely what you can see here. What I find interesting here is this term here, the hurufaya, which we found out to be an art style founded in the Middle East. So again, not 100% sure, maybe the setting of the mountains is very similar to that of the Middle East, I'm guessing, but not 100% sure why that needed to be into the actual prompt. And again, UHD image again. So we start to see that the same words are being used again, which I didn't think was really necessary when doing prompts. But again, the images that are coming out are very, very impressive. And let's check out the last prompt. Price review, best model to buy. So this is like the sales pitch one. I have to say, these are super, super impressive images. Nailing the forest and mountainous location very, very well. The fact that it's using sculptures and painters in the prompts themselves, I would have never have thought about that because it's completely different genres. If I'm looking for a realistic image of a Porsche in the mountains, I would have typed that, or maybe in the style of a particular photographer that does car photography. But For some reason, it has chosen Italian and Romanian painters and sculptors, yet the results are still clearly very, very impressive. I really like the first prompt that the MidJourney bot created for us, but I wanted to re-roll it, and I want to see what happens if we take out, in the style of Thomas Barcelo, again, Spanish painter, Grandois architecture. Again, I'm not really sure why that's in there as well. Exquisite craftsmanship, you could say that's exquisite craftsmanship in a car. Impressive panoramas, again, I'm gonna leave that in there. Subtle chromatism, sculpted, I'm gonna see if what happens if I take that out. Neo-mosaic, I'm also gonna take that out as well. Let's see what this comes up with. Maybe we can also use the describe feature using the image, the original image that we uploaded. Let's check that out. So I'm gonna take the original image, copy link, and see what happens if we click on the number 1 again. If we copy, paste this in, seems to work. And I'm gonna, first off, leave the original prompt that came up that the MidJourney bot created for us in there. And I also wanna test this out by adding an image and then also taking out, in my opinion, what are the nonsensical parts of the prompt. Exquisite craftsmanship, impressive panoramas I'll leave in there, subtle chromatism, sculpted I'll take out, and neo-mosaic I'll take out. So let's see what this comes up with. So that seemed to work. You can add the original image. So this is the result of when we take out, in my opinion, the more unnecessary words that were in the prompt, like neo-mosaic, sculpted. And I have to say, the results are really, really cool. Again, what I'm noticing off the bat is it really nails the location perfectly. It's parked in front of mountains on a concrete road, very, very similar to the original image that we uploaded. And I have to say, these images almost look cooler than the original image. So by using the describe feature, it seems as though the images that are coming out of it are very, very close to the original image, and it also uses words that I would never have used before. This is also giving me a little bit of insight of how the MidJourney bot actually functions. So in this prompt, we've used one of the prompts that the describe feature has given us, and we've also included the original image to this as well as an image prompt. I am very impressed at the results here. This looks really as like the original image that we uploaded, again, if not even cooler. It again nails the setting, nails the location. The car looks really realistic. Lighting is amazing on the car. Really see a nice gradient and diffused light on the car here. These are very, very impressive pictures. So again, it is possible for you to copy the link of the original image and add that to the prompt that the MidJourney describe feature has created for us. Very cool. And let's see what happens if we take out, in my opinion, what are the kind of unnecessary words that the prompt had originally given us. Again, also very, very cool pictures. So what I'm noticing is these images are very, very similar, and even though we added in the style of a Spanish painter, Grandois architecture, sculpted neo-mosaic, the images come out to be still very, very cool. Because I would have never associated some of these terms with car photography, Grandois architecture. I guess what's happening here is the Grandois architecture, we can see kind of architecture in the back. You can also see, there's a town or a village in the back, so maybe it's interpreting Grandois architecture, neo-mosaic as kind of a Portuguese Spanish setting. Maybe that's how it's interpreting it. I'm still a bit confused as to why it used, let's say, full body twice, or UHD 3 times in one of the prompts. Not 100% sure, or master realism 3 times in a prompt. So maybe again, this is early days for the describe feature. But I have to say the results, even though some of the words that were used in the prompt seem to be almost random or nonsensical, have come up with really, really awesome results. It would be interesting to test out if you upload the image to the prompt as well, and if you start using image weights, how that would affect the end result. So I'll make sure to make another video on that as I play around with the describe feature more. There's an image to prompt tool that I always use by replicate.com. So by adding an image, you get a prompt out of it. Let's test out how replicate.com's prompts compare to the new describe feature of MidJourney. Let's go ahead and add the same Porsche photo, and let's see what the prompt looks like that we get out of replicate.com. A red sports car parked on the side of the road, a digital rendering of Paul Lois, featured on CG Society, super flat 8K, 4K, 8K resolution. What I noticed already is it didn't notice that it was a Porsche 911, which is a very impressive feature that the describe function in MidJourney can actually do. These are the results that we get from replicate.com. Interesting enough, there is a Porsche that's in here, even though we didn't actually specify it should be a red Porsche. We have almost like an Audi hybrid here. This almost looks like a Maserati. But again, this chooses like a Porsche-like style red sports car. Replicate.com didn't specify that it needed to be in the mountains. It just said on the side of a road. So this is why, again, we have it more in like a city setting. It seems as though the describe feature on MidJourney is much more impressive results than replicate.com does. That's cool to know. Let's see what happens if we add another image to the describe feature. Let's do the Beatles Abbey Road album cover. And again, very impressed at how quickly it comes up with these unique prompts. The Beatles are crossing the street with the road in front of them in the style of automatism. Again, automatism. I wouldn't have chosen that as a style. Sky, blue and silver, recycled, Picasso-esque, babycore. What is babycore? Babycore involved gentle pastel or cute-like, childlike innocence. This aesthetic leans towards softer, more kawaii elements and is distinguished from kidcore through its usage of lighter colors and visual typical reserved for babies and toddlers. Interesting. So I'm really learning new terms and styles by using the describe feature that, again, I would have never have used in my past prompts. But again, I'm interested to understand why it chose babycore for the Beatles Abbey Road album cover. Also, Yankeecore. Yankeecore is romanticism of New England. New England is a region comprising of 6 states in the northeastern United States. Interesting. Okay. The second one, the Beatles Abbey Road crosswalk. So again, interesting to see that it immediately knew it was the Beatles and Abbey Road crosswalk, so very impressive. And again, within a short amount of time. In the style of automatism, again, automatism as a style, very interesting. Hugh Kretschmer, not sure who this is. Fine art photographer and director in Los Angeles. So at least now it's choosing actual fine art photographers in the prompt to use as a style, which is much more relatable to the original image that we uploaded. Polished metamorphosis. Whoa. Basil Gogos. Let's check out who this is. American illustrator. Again, wouldn't have used this particular artist to describe the Beatles Abbey Road picture. Dignified poses, Associated Press photo. So again, very interesting terms that it used here. The third one, the Beatles in their Abbey Road crossing at a street in the style of light blue and dark beige. Color photography pioneer, striped, polished metamorphosis again. Dignified poses, automatism, yet again. Maybe I have the wrong idea of automatism. The avoidance of conscious intention in producing works of art, especially by using mechanical techniques or subconscious association. Maybe I really should be using this term more in my prompts. I'd be interested to know if you guys have been using this term. Write in the comments below, let me know what you think. And the fourth one, the Beatles walking across the Abbey Road in the style of automatism, again. Neoplastics, let's see what that means. Basically means new art. Painting and sculptures are plastic arts. Realistic blue skies, striped, poignant, mana punk, and flicker. Let's go ahead and submit so we can see what the images look like. The image that I uploaded of the Beatles crossing the Abbey Road is in aspect ratio 1:1. Compared to the Porsche prompt that we used above, there was a very, very specific aspect ratio, which it had included in the prompts that it created. Now, if it's a 1:1 image, I noticed that the describe feature doesn't even add an aspect ratio because the default aspect ratio is 1:1, so it didn't even add that. Here we have the first prompt that the describe feature created for us. It seems to have nailed the location down perfectly. It is the Beatles crossing the Abbey Road crosswalk. All 4 members of the Beatles are in the image. Now, again, I think because it used a Picasso-esque babycore and Yankeecore style, these images are more on the artistic side. But again, the location and the 4 members of the Beatles are on there, so I have to say I'm still very impressed with the results that are coming out of it, even though I wouldn't have gone with a Picasso-esque or babycore, Yankeecore style. Here's the second one. By taking out the Picasso-esque style of the previous prompt, we get a much more realistic photo. It almost seems as though there's a new new member of the Beatles here. It almost seems like a Men in Black kind of style. Location-wise, it is still very similar to that of the original Abbey Road photo, I have to say. Very, very cool. Here's the third prompt that it created for us, the Beatles and the Abbey Road crossing at a street. These are almost more photographic, especially 1, 3, and 4. Number 2 is a little bit more on the artistic side. It seems as though the Beatles are a little bit confused as to which direction to walk in here. It seems as though the describe feature does a very, very good job at creating the right location and the subjects themselves. And then it really depends on the art style that you're looking to have in there as well. And this is the last one that it came up with. A little bit more on the artsy side. It doesn't really look photorealistic, but again, definitely can be associated with the, the classic picture of the Beatles crossing the Abbey Road. It seems as though the new describe feature from MidJourney does a very, very good job, and again, a short amount of time to come up with very, very unique prompts. Comparing it to other image to prompt tools like replicate.com, the describe feature seems to do a very, very good job at really nailing the right setting and location of where the original image is, and also including the subjects that are in the image as well. The describe feature still seems to struggle by adding almost nonsensical words to the prompt that it creates, and almost adding the same word multiple times within the prompts that it creates. And again, this is the tool that has just been released, so maybe this is an aspect of it which will change in the future. But my first thoughts on using this new feature, I'm very, very impressed. And again, these are just my first impressions of using the new describe feature by MidJourney. I'll be testing out this new feature a lot over the next couple of days and see if I can come up with some very cool tips and tricks for you guys in future videos. And I'd be interested to know how you guys have been using the describe feature. Maybe you found new cool tips and tricks right in the comments below. That's it for now. I'll see you guys in the next video.